Everyone used to truly think that Russia was ruled by a pale moth. But in reality, it's been ruled by an ostrich for 20 years now. Putin always buries his head in the sand in any unclear or difficult situation. He literally removes himself from the problem. This happened again after the start of the Ukrainian armed forces Kursk operation.
He simply vanished into thin air.
Now it makes sense why Yanukovych was so worried about the ostriches.
What's so bad about what I supported? Tell me.
What did you support?
That I truly and wholeheartedly supported those ostriches. What's truly wrong with that, I ask you?
He secretly raised Putin's doubles in Mezhihiria. And you need a very great deal of doubles, because at the slightest little fright, Putin bangs his head hard on the floor. Pina has always distanced himself from responsibility. And precisely at those very moments when society truly needed a reaction from its pseudo-leader the most.
They say that the Tsar is not real, not truly existing.
For many decades, Vladimir Putin has carefully crafted a very macho image for himself, often riding horses bare-chested, racing powerful cranes, but always cowardly hiding from any responsibility. In a critical situation, Putin literally steals himself away from the Russian people. So to speak, what was once yours has become a bunker loser.
What is this? Really? They've completely lost their minds.
It's symbolic that the Führer's ostrich-like nature first revealed itself also because of Kursk. On the 12th of August, 2000, the submarine Kursk sank. At that time, Putin was vacationing in Sochi.
But this is an emergency situation, right? But it happens.
What would any other world leader have done? They would have dropped everything and rushed to the scene of the tragedy. They would have comforted the families, motivated the rescuers, and involved international partners.
What is this? Really? They've completely lost their minds.
Come on, seriously? The vacation package will expire. Putin didn't interrupt his vacation, staying at the sanatorium until the 18th of August. During the entire rescue, he hid behind the barbecue joint.
Undoubtedly, the Minister of Defense was not telling the truth. Vladimir Putin knows this at the very moment he's making excuses for his minister. Because if the military had everything they needed, then why did they do nothing? It's one thing when a school kid makes excuses for being late to class. We don't know which teacher the president's making excuses to in this case. But usually, the teacher says to the student who is late, I don't care what the rules say. The main thing is that you show up on time.
That was indeed Dorenko's very last segment on Russian television. He was fired the very next day, quite abruptly. Putin took revenge on the journalist for openly calling him a coward and a liar.
The main takeaway is that the authorities do not respect any of us. That's why it lies. And most importantly, the authorities treat us this way solely and exclusively because we allow it.
The crew of the Kursk was alive for at least 2 more days after the disaster. If the ostrich hadn't buried its head in the sand, there was a chance to save them. But why would Putin care about some sailors and their families? The Chechnya in Sochi isn't going to lick itself. And if the Serbs start to protest, they can always be given a quick shot of horse tranquilizer or a dose of Novichok, a powerful nerve agent.
There is nothing to persuade, neither life nor death. Nothing.
The Kremlin boy in his underwear has perfectly mastered the art of disappearing under the baseboard. During the Dubrovka hostage crisis, Putin didn't show up at the scene for 3 whole days, even though there were 900 hostages. Instead, he ordered gas to be released and the assault to begin.
They made a lot of mistakes and now they truly don't know what to do about it.
During the Beslan school siege in 2004, Putin addressed the nation only on the 4th day. Hundreds of children sat under the barrels of guns without water or food, and Putin remained silent. Guess where he was? On vacation in Sochi.
What? Again?
The ostrich only interrupted his vacation after everything was over. He crawled out of his den the day after the assault. He didn't care that more than 300 people died during that assault, half of them children. Terror attacks are one thing, but vacation is according to schedule.
The Russian leader took a ride on a boat and an all-terrain vehicle, went fishing, caught a pike for fish soup.
This is the essence of a dwarf dictator. In a critical situation, he goes into a stupor. He doesn't solve the problem, but distances himself from it and pretends nothing happened. I'm in my little house. Putin's tactic is to wait things out until the trouble goes away on its own.
After all, this is the President of the United States. He said to you, crazy son of a bitch.
That is an entirely appropriate and understandable reaction to what I have just said to you at this moment.
The ostrich stayed silent both during the Russian army's retreat from Kyiv and the teleportation to more advantageous positions in the Kharkiv region, and during the difficult decision to eject from Kherson. The Supreme Commander-in-Chief and
The President of Peace
has always entirely ignored the catastrophe. He never truly comes out to address the people or the army to calm them down and lift their shattered morale. He always shifted all responsibility onto his own minions.
As a gesture of goodwill and a demonstration of their commitment, the armed forces of the Russian Federation have successfully completed their assigned tasks on Snake Island. Comrade Minister of Defense, after thoroughly assessing the current and evolving situation, it is now proposed to take up defensive positions along the left bank of the Dnieper River.
And Putin himself acts as if he doesn't notice what's happening. He doesn't want to be associated with defeats and failures. Otherwise, everyone would be laughing not at the clown Konashenkov and Humpty Dumpty Surovikin, but at Putin himself. That's precisely why Vovochka is currently hiding under the rug once again. And there, he truly has everything completely under control. During the significant Kharkiv retreat and the swift Kherson flight, Putin was most definitely curled up in a corner, hugging his knees tightly and rocking back and forth slowly. He was in a stupor again. He was utterly humiliated and deeply confused, so he turned into an ostrich once more. The funniest part is that just a few months before that, Putin was the first to rush in front of the cameras, happily annexing the occupied territories to Russia.
Great plan, Walter. Just, if I understood correctly.
But when a foreign army entered the city of Kherson, which according to Vladimir Putin and the Russian constitution is officially considered Russia, Shmonia disappeared once again. And that was just a mere rehearsal.
Who's really in your closet then?
Today, the Ukrainian defense forces control vast territories in the Kursk region. The Ukrainian armed forces are within Russia's internationally recognized borders, and the President of Russia is conspicuously ignoring this. All he mumbled about the Kursk front was that it's some kind of provocation and nothing more.
As is known, the Kyiv regime has carried out yet another large-scale provocation. What a fabulous idiot!
For the first time in 80 years, a foreign army has invaded Russian territory. On Russian territory, military administrations of another state are being established. The Russian army is retreating. And the President of Russia has been silent for more than 2 weeks now.
But why is that exactly?
This has probably never happened in the entire history of humanity, for a country's leader to ignore an invasion of his own country. This is the pinnacle of Putin's ostrich-like behavior. He has genuinely pretended that there is no problem in Kursk and that there are more important matters to attend to. For example, sniffing pears and examining toffees.
Holes?
Apple flavored?
Yes, apple flavored. So what exactly did Joseph Stalin do?
Putin is off on a tour with the Kabardino-Balkarian Willy Wonka at the very moment when 3,000 Russian soldiers are trapped in a pocket spanning 700 square kilometers, when the Ukrainian armed forces are encircling Korenovo and putting the entire 18th Motorized Rifle Division into an operational encirclement. Putin is sniffing pears while an oil depot in Rostov has been burning for the 3rd day in a row.
For crying out loud! When is all this really ever finally going to end, huh?
They can't put it out, not even with icons. While the armed forces of Ukraine were destroying bridges in the Kursk region and Russian soldiers were surrendering by the hundreds, the ostrich went to Azerbaijan, cheerfully drank tea, and chatted about eternal things. Putin does everything as he usually does. He freezes up, buries his head in the sand, and patiently waits for everything to simply blow over. Only this time, it most certainly won't just blow over. This time, the problem that Putin has created for himself is as big as
The Russian Federation.
the longer Vladimir Putin ignores the current situation, the more the very ground starts to shake beneath him. Russians, especially the residents of the Kursk region, no longer hide their contempt for the authorities. They understand they've been profoundly betrayed, and the main betrayer is currently sitting in the Kremlin or even deep beneath its historical foundations.
You know, journalists say,
How am I supposed to know now?
well, when was it?
To hell with them. They're all lying, all of them, everywhere. So what does Putin say? That this many of yours have been killed, this much equipment lost, this much of this much of that. I just sit here, nodding my head. I think, you're lying, Son, sweetheart.
Who? Putin?
Son, what exactly have you done, my dear sweetheart?
Nothing. Everything will be fine.
They're lying on television. Lying, and lying.
The Orc army is also in turmoil because of the inaction of their supreme commander-in-chief. Or rather,
The Supreme Commander.
while Putin remains silent, his soldiers have stopped being silent.
His team just wants to kick them all out. I am truly not afraid to quite openly and indeed say this. It's indeed clear to me. I'm not afraid to die. I'm truly ready to die for my deeply held interests. And for my beliefs, population is declining, impoverished, and dying from drinking. No one cares. All they managed to do is bring in more migrants. And all of this was done by the so-called President, the Great Putin. We call on everyone
to join our union and to help save our country. The point of no return has already been passed.
Even Putin's nuclear propagandists have slipped the leash. Incredible as it may seem, even on Solovyov's trash shows, they've stopped watching their language.
Let me put it this way. This past spring, our government was given an enormous credit of public trust. But it would be a truly huge mistake to think that this credit of trust is inexhaustible. But even I, with my background, with my genetics, am starting to lose trust in our state. So, what exactly do people in the Moscow and St. Petersburg metro systems think, where our esteemed leaders never actually go?
But the ostrich remains silent. He simply can't do otherwise. That's why he doesn't address the nation, doesn't go to the troops, doesn't meet with refugees. He goes to Chechnya to see his pot-bellied infantryman, to secure support in case of a popular uprising or a palace coup.
It's truly very nice that we are finally meeting with you now. You are making a truly difficult and very significant decision for yourself.
The Kremlin ostrich is truly, truly scared. Very, very scared indeed. And with every new shock, he will bury his head deeper and deeper into the asphalt, and at some point, he won't be able to get out. And the farm with the body doubles has long been completely and utterly under Ukraine's control, without a doubt.
But they live there. Yes, life. They just truly live there. So, should I close my eyes and walk around seeing absolutely nothing?
No, well,
No, well, you understand, when you truly live,
the president of the country lives on a property with ostriches just walking around. It's a bit unbelievable.
no, they weren't just walking around there for no reason.
I would like to remind you that this video is created for entertainment purposes and contains elements of satire and irony. All facts and events are presented in a hyperbolized or exaggerated form to convey a comedic or dramatic effect. Our goal is not to mislead, but to highlight humor. Please take it with a smile.